Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, guys. Was it better than yesterday or was it worse? We can be honest.
I would say it was equal.
Equal?
I would say it's equal or maybe a little bit worse, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think, Cassie?
Yeah, I think yesterday's might have been a tad bit better.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but yesterday was better.
We're not starting out the hottest, okay? Taylor Sharper with you, filling in for a vacationing Mr. Hunt Palmer. I'm here today, likely tomorrow, and then Matthew Musso is going to take it over from there. He will be in on Friday. Guys, I'm in a wedding on Friday. I don't know why. People keep asking me to attend these things. And look, this one's for my sister-in-law. It's no big deal. I was going to be there anyways, but I got to kind of be there at like 4 o'clock, fully dressed, ready to go. It'd be kind of hard to take over Hunt Show till 3 o'clock and make that happen. So Matt Musso will be in for the remainder of the week. Obviously, everyone's going to want to talk about the LSU baseball game. Look, hour number 2, baseball heavy. We got Koki Riley coming on at 2:15. We got Joe Healy of D1 Baseball. Normally on Thursdays, he had to push it up a day. He will be on today at 2:30. So we're going to be baseball heavy in hour number 2. I will kind of give you right now maybe my overall takeaways. Look, I sat here yesterday and said Northwestern State, not an elite baseball program, but a solid midweek opponent, and they could potentially hurt you if you let them hang around. Well, that's exactly what happened. I didn't think they would hurt them to the tune of a run rule, 13-3, but that's exactly what happened. Look, it was an hour-and-a-half rain delay. Right after that, LSU came out super sluggish. Northwestern State took an early lead. You did have 3 home runs on the night, but all 3 of them, unfortunately, were solo shots. Derek Curiel had one, Jake Brown had one, and Chris Stanfield with the other. But again, all of them solo home runs. You kind of experimented with a lot of different things last night. Jared Jones was at third base, which I think that experiment should end. And maybe that's what I want to touch on right now. I don't understand the Jared Jones experiment at third. I get it. You want to see what you have. You're trying to get Jake Brown's bat in the lineup. I totally understand that. I'm good with that. Jake Brown's been solid. And you can say, okay, well, if we get Jake Brown at first, can Jared Jones be at third base and that be your best hitting lineup? Can we act like Michael Braswell is like a good hitter, because he is? He's batting .324 in SEC play. He's getting on base. He's a good glove out there at third base. Like, look, Jared Jones hit a home run. It was crucial for you over the weekend against Alabama. He was 2 for 11 on the weekend against Alabama. Jones has struggled a little bit at the plate. Honestly, recently, Michael Braswell's been a little bit more consistent offensively. And we know what kind of glove he has at third. But beyond that, Jared Jones is never going to be a realistic option for you at third base. Ever. Heaven forbid Michael Braswell and Tanner Reeves both get injured. You're probably still not going to Jared Jones. You're probably going to move Daniel Dickinson over to third, slot somebody else in there at second base. I really don't see any world where Jared Jones plays third. So if that's not going to happen, why experiment with it? Again, this is a midweek game. You hate to see it. Does this mean LSU is a worse baseball team than they were yesterday morning? No. There are certainly some concerns, but it doesn't mean that they are a markedly worse baseball team. It's just one of those things that few head-scratching moves. I get it. Jay likes to tinker with the lineup a little bit, try different things out, but if you're trying someone out at third base that's never going to be a realistic option, what's the point? I guess that's kind of where I lie on that. Look, I'm not going to get too heavy into baseball because the NFL draft is tomorrow. Do want to talk some New Orleans Saints here real quick. Again, hour number 2, going to be baseball heavy. So right now, let's get the show started like we do every day with the Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
First round of the 2025 NFL draft coming up tomorrow night. Obviously, your New Orleans Saints hold that 9th overall pick. Ross Jackson, who is with us at LouisianaSports.net yesterday, put out a whole 7-round mock draft. I have some thoughts on it. I did mention a little bit yesterday, Ross does have the Saints trading back up into the first round at 32 overall, taking that pick from the Philadelphia Eagles to take quarterback Jackson Dart. We'll certainly talk about that one, but just kind of want to look at, some of the major picks. At 9 overall, Ross Jackson has the Saints taking Tyler Warren. I am all for the Saints taking Tyler Warren. I love him at 9. I just don't know if he'll be there. This morning on OTB, T-Bob had me do a mock draft. I had Tyler Warren going in the top 5. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars like him, and if they don't take him, the Jets are a possibility there at 7. Again, I would love Tyler Warren at 9. I just don't know if he's there. However, if he's there, I do think the New Orleans Saints take it. If he's gone, then what? In my opinion, it could be Mason Graham. I know that Mason Graham has kind of been the overwhelming favorite for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yesterday, Adam Schefter came out and said, I don't know what the Jaguars are going to do, but I'm pretty confident in saying they're not going to take Mason Graham. So if he's not there, the Panthers pass on Mason Graham. He's there at 9. No more Tyler Warren. Ashton Genty's likely going to go 6 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't see why it can't be Mason Graham. He's a guy that's an immediate plug-and-play starter on the defensive line. Interior D-line is a position of need for you. But again, I do agree with Ross that if Tyler Warren's there at number 9, I do think the Saints take it. Again, at that second pick in round 1, 32 overall, he does have the Saints taking Jackson Dart. I'd be okay with it as long as you don't give up a lot. For what it's worth, in this mock draft, Ross has the Saints giving up 40 overall, 131 overall, but they get back 134 and a 2026 second-round pick. If that's what it takes, I'm all for it. Make that move. By all accounts, Kellen Moore loves Jackson Dart, and I'm to the point now to where I trust Kellen Moore with quarterbacks. He's had a lot of success in the NFL with a lot of different quarterbacks. If you remember, he started his career with Dallas, did some nice things with Dak Prescott, moved on, went to Justin Herbert. Herbert, a very different quarterback than Dak Prescott, had success with the Chargers, moves on, goes to Jalen Hurts. Definitely a different type of player than Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, and he wins a Super Bowl. I'm good with whatever Kellen Moore wants to do. If he thinks that Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in this class for the New Orleans Saints, who am I to argue with him? I think there's a chance you might actually have to go higher than 32, though. I broke this down a little bit yesterday. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to fall, but what if the Steelers like Jackson Dart better than Shedeur Sanders? The Saints appear to like Jackson Dart better than Shedeur Sanders, so it's not a crazy thought. They're at 21. Could you trade up to 20 overall with the Denver Broncos? That's something I kind of threw out there yesterday. The biggest issue is if you trade back up to 32, you're going to have to give up 40 overall. If you give up 40 overall, I don't know what you do at receiver, because I was all for, look, if you pass on Teteroa and McMillan, I'm good with that. You could get a 6'4 wide receiver like a Jaden Higgins at 40 overall. But you may not have 40 overall. Ross Jackson has the Saints at 71 overall in the 3rd round, taking Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals. I like Jalen Royals. In 2022, he played in 13 games, or 23, played in 13 games, 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 15.2 yards per catch. Now, last season, he was in and out of the lineup with injuries, but by all accounts, he should be a full go for the start of the season. Only played in 7 games, but he was on pace to have a really good season. 834 yards, 6 touchdowns in only 7 games. Also, again, 15.2 yards per catch. He was a really productive player in college. The biggest issue with him is he's not that big-bodied receiver that Saints fans wanted. But who is at that spot? Jalen Royals hovers around 6 feet. And I know what people are going to say. Well, you have Brandon Cooks and Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. Why draft a guy like that? Because if you give up 40 overall to go get your quarterback, those receivers that you're looking for are going to be taken. This is a whole round later. Again, I like Jaden Higgins. He will not be there at 71, I promise you. He may not be there at 40, but he is definitely not going to be there at 71. But The good news is the Saints still get a solid receiver who I think can come in and play early. Again, he may not be that big-bodied guy you're looking for, but he's a guy nonetheless. Round 4 is interesting. He has the, he's second pick in the third round, 93 overall. Charles Grant from William & Mary, the offensive lineman. A lot of people are really high on Charles Grant. We know Mickey Loomis loves the small school guys. That makes a lot of sense. In round 4, Baron Sorrell, the edge rusher from Texas. He might not be considered one of the elite pass rushers in this class, but he could develop into one. 6 sacks last year, 11 tackles for a loss. He showed he could be a pass rusher and a run defender. He was pretty good. A guy that could be versatile in the scheme. He can stand up on the edge. He can put his hand in the dirt. He can rush the passer. He's a pretty good all-around player. I think that's pretty good value there in the 4th round. And in the second 4th round pick, this is 134 overall. This is the pick swap that he has them doing with Philly. You had 131, you now have 134. Noel Williams, the cornerback from Cal. I'm good with it. Again, solid pick. Good value there in the 4th round. You need a corner. I would actually be okay with them going corner 9 overall. I don't see that happening, though. Will Johnson had a bunch of injuries last year in Michigan. I don't know if they feel confident enough with Jedi Barron to draft him at 9 overall. But you still need a corner. Noel Williams fills that void. In the 6th round, Dylan Fairchild, the offensive lineman out of Georgia. I would love this pick in the 6th round. This might be your best value pick in the entire draft for the New Orleans Saints. 6'5", 315 pounds, and he's been a versatile player. 2022, he didn't play a ton. 15 snaps total, all at right guard. Now in 23, it was a different story. 435 snaps at left guard, 114 snaps at right guard. Now in 24, he was predominantly the left guard. 871 snaps at left guard, just 5 at right guard. But he can play on both sides of the line of scrimmage. We talk about showing up your tackle spot, and I get it. You don't know what you think about Trevor Penning, but your guard spot might even be in a worse spot because at least you have Taliesin Fuaga to play your other tackle. I like this pick. I think he adds versatility. And then you go look at his production. 2024, 74.6 grade. Okay, but in 3 seasons at Georgia, 22, 23, 24, gave up a total of 1 sack, 7 quarterback hurries last year, 5 the year before. Gave up 1 career sack from the interior, and he can play on the left and right side. I love that pick there in round 6. Round 7, remember the Saints have 2 7th-round picks. The first one he has is Will Shepard. Another pick I really like. Shepard, 2,600 yards, 27 touchdowns in his college career. That 4-year career between Vandy and Colorado. And he's got the size that you're looking for. Now, he's not one of these top 2 or 3 receivers in the draft. But Will Shepard's a guy that has been productive in multiple spots in college, and he's got the size you're looking for. 6'3", 190 pounds. So you get the really productive, really athletic Jalen Royals in round 3. You get the value pick in round 7, Will Shepard, a bigger guy who kind of fills that need of size-wise what you're looking for a receiver. So because I'm taking 2 receivers, 2 completely different players, but 2 guys I think can make a pretty early impact. And at 254 overall, the last pick for the New Orleans Saints, Ross picked Riley Mills, the defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. He's a little undersized for defensive tackle. You look at his height, he's 6'5", 273 pounds. 5-year player at Notre Dame, and a really, really good player in 2024. 7.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, 37 tackles. Again, that's predominantly on the interior. He did move around a little bit. At 6'5", 275, you can play inside, you can play outside, depending on where you need it. Another versatility pick, another high-value pick late in this NFL draft. The biggest issue with Riley Mills is he's coming off the ACL tear. He tore it in that playoff game against Indiana. This is a guy that would be drafted a lot higher if he was fully healthy. In all likelihood, Riley Mills will not be ready for the start of the season. However, if he can come back fully healthy at any point in the year, I think this is a high ceiling draft pick for you. Riley Mills was a super productive player in college at Notre Dame. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. That was just kind of a reaction breakdown on Ross Jackson's latest mock draft. Kind of gave you my overall thoughts on that. We come back, we're going to continue with New Orleans Saints. Article was put out about 2 potential trade candidates that the Saints could trade away after the NFL draft. 2 guys on that list. One I'm all for. The other, I would maybe caution the Saints a little bit. That's coming up on the other side here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for Hunt Palmer, and we are going to be Saints heavy here in hour number 1. Obviously, the NFL draft coming up tomorrow. Kind of reacted to Ross Jackson's latest mock draft. You can see that at LouisianaSports.net. Ross actually has a ton of write-ups at LouisianaSports.net right now. I mean, just a wealth of information, giving you everything you might need to know as you prepare for the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. An article from A to Z Sports was put out on Monday evening talking about trades that could happen for the Saints after the draft. So, I mean, we always talk about draft day trades, right? This is like after the draft is complete, guys that are currently on the Saints roster that they could see Mickey Loomis and company moving on from. Now, the first name makes a lot of sense. It's Kendre Miller. This was a guy that was a third-round pick just a few years ago. A lot of hype around Kendre Miller coming out of college. 1,399 yards, so a hair under 1,400, 17 rushing touchdowns, 6.2 yards per carry. He was part of that really good TCU team that made it to the national championship. Now, those of you who watched that national championship, it didn't go very well for Kendre Miller in that squad, but, I mean, he had a really, really good season. The problem with Kendre is he's really been just super injured since he's been here. 14 games total in 2023 and 2024. His rookie year, he appeared in 8 games, 156 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, averaged 5.1 a carry. Now, this past season, he averaged 6.5 yards per carry. I'm sorry, he averaged 3.8 yards per carry this past season. So not great. That's his career average is 3.8 yards. So even when he's played, he hasn't been super productive. But 6 games, 2 starts, 148 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. So in 2 seasons, 304 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3.8 yards per carry. So you have a guy that's often injured, and even when he's on the field, he hasn't done much. With or without Kendre Miller on this roster, I think the New Orleans Saints are going to take a running back somewhere in this class. That might be my biggest disagreement with Ross. I just broke it down. Ross does not have the Saints taking a running back. I think a running back's a must for you, especially without Kendre Miller. If you decide you're going to move on from Kendre Miller, your running back room is Alvin Kamara, who's not getting any younger, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who showed promise last year, but he's been up and down, and Jordan Mims that hasn't played a ton of football. That's your running back room. With or without Kendre Miller, I think they're taking a running back. I don't know what trade value he would hold. Look, in this article, for what it's worth, they say that it could be something, a late round pick, a day 3 pick is what they call it. I'm good with that. You just kind of need to move on from Kendre Miller at this point. Anything you can get in return from a guy like Kendre Miller is a bonus. Because if you draft a running back and you spend a 3rd-round pick on him, you might as well just cut Kendre altogether. I am totally fine with them moving on from Kendre Miller. I think most Saints fans would be confused if they did not move on from Kendre Miller. The second name mentioned, though, I disagree with. Just because of how much depth you lack at that position. The second name mentioned is tight end Foster Moreau. Now, Foster did some pretty good things for you last year. 32 catches, 413 yards, 5 touchdowns, 12.9 per catch. Pretty solid numbers because he split time with Juwan Johnson. You have right now Juwan Johnson, who you paid, but that doesn't make him a better player just because you paid him more. He's left a lot to be desired at tight end. You have Foster Moreau, and you have Taysom Hill, who's dealing with a serious knee injury. Plus, even if Taysom Hill is fully healthy, he's never going to be a traditional hand-in-the-dirt tight end. That's not what he is. Taysom Hill is a gadget player. He is a very good gadget player, but Taysom Hill is a gadget player. You have 2 tight ends. Neither of them have been insane production. I think you need a tight end in this class. I love this tight end class. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, well, if you get Tyler Warren, number 9 overall, you're good to go. Even if they don't get Tyler Warren, I like the value. Like, let's say the Saints don't trade back up to get Jackson Dart in the 1st round. 40 overall, there's a chance Mason Taylor's there. Even past that, Harold Fannin Jr. was a really good tight end in college. Very productive. Isaiah Arroyo from Miami, he's been a really good tight end. Gunnar Helm could possibly be there. These are all really good tight ends. I think only 2 are going in the 1st round. Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. I think outside of that, every tight end I just mentioned could be there at 40 overall. If you have 40 overall. But I don't see you moving on from Foster even with drafting a tight end. Because you don't have any depth. Will either of these guys actually get traded? For me, Kendre Miller, yes. If Kendre Miller is not traded, I think he's going to be read out, released. I think the Saints are going to take a running back. This is a really deep running back class. I think there's 2 positions that are really, really deep. Running back, wide receiver. Tight end, not quite as deep, but there's quality players there. There's a number of guys that I'd be okay with the Saints taking late. But I don't think you can move on from Foster Moreau. Because again, Juwan Johnson hadn't played a ton of tight end. You moved him there, but he didn't play tight end in college. He's still relatively new in terms of number of years spent playing that spot. No, he's been a tight end for you for a few years now, but the results have kind of been mixed. He's been okay, but I mean, he hasn't wowed me, hasn't been overly impressive in my eyes. And Foster, really good blocker, can do some things for you in the passing game, but I think you need an upgrade there. I definitely think they're going to grab a tight end. With Taysom Hill's future uncertain, I mean, Taysom Hill had a lot of knee injuries in college. Now he's apparently dealing with another serious knee injury. He's not a true tight end anyways. Even if you draft a tight end, I don't think you can count on Taysom Hill. I think you have whichever tight end you draft, Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau. I don't think you can afford to move on from Foster. So I said yes to trading Kendre Miller. I am good with that 100%. I think I'm going to say no to trading a guy like Foster Moreau. Beck, let me ask you this. If you're the New Orleans Saints, would you trade Foster Moreau?
Yeah, I think so.
You would? Okay.
I think so. I mean, I think he's one of those guys where he's not so important to the team where whatever value you're going to get back for him, you know, it's like one of those things where he's just at a level to me where I don't think you're going to lose that much.
He's a solid veteran.
Yeah, he's a solid player, and if you can get anything for him, then I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I guess I just look at it again, the depth at tight end. I can't trust Taysom Hill to stay healthy. I can't trust him to play tight end for you. So,
I think you can expect the Saints to probably draft a tight end in this draft.
I'm good with that, but even if you do, that's a rookie tight end in Juwan Johnson.
It is.
I agree with you. Like, if you had any sort of depth, I'd be good with it. Because I think Foster Moreau is valued around the league. I think a lot of people like him. What he brings to a locker room is veteran presence. I don't know if you can move on from him. There's not a ton of options in free agency, even if you grab that rookie tight end. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, would I trade him? Yeah, I would. I don't know if you can afford to. I don't know if you I don't know if you can. You don't have enough bodies there. So will Kendre Miller be traded? I'll say yes. Will Foster Moreau be traded? I'll say no. So we're 50-50 on that. We'll see what happens. Again, with or without Kendre Miller, I think the Saints 100% take a running back. With or without Foster Moreau, I think they 100% take a tight end. I think those are two must in the NFL draft for the New Orleans Saints. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, get the questions in the chat. We got a couple ready as well. It's time for a What If Wednesday on the other side. Here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, Refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for Hunt Palmer. I am in today and tomorrow. All right. We do it every Wednesday around this time. Let's get it and kick it off with What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, we got a lot of what if questions in the YouTube chat, so I'll let Beck handle those. He can kind of sift through them. You better give us some good ones. No pressure now. I got one, and it was going to be a Chick-fil-A question, but I don't want to pick on Cassie too much, so what if you could no longer have dessert?
Man, probably be a lot healthier if you can't have dessert. I mean, especially for me at least. I don't really eat that much dessert, but I do like to have something most nights. I try to get like some kind of chocolate or something, but not a lot. But still, yeah, it definitely would be a lot healthier and not as much sugar. So yeah, it'd probably be a good thing, honestly.
I'm actually okay with it. We did this last week on OTB with a chef. We were talking about a lot of things, and it was like, would you rather have like only eat dessert or never eat dessert again? I'm good with not eating dessert ever again. Like I like dessert. It's fine. I like my savory foods way better. I am perfectly okay with that. Beck, what you got?
All right. Let's see. What? Okay. There's not really. Okay. What if there was a terrible traffic jam one day and not everyone could get to the studio and Cassie had to fill in the host chair?
That's the day we win even more awards than we already do.
Yeah.
That would be a horrible show.
Cassie, let's just look. I know you don't want to host a sports show, but like, let's say hypothetically you had to. What are you talking about? What are you leading with?
I don't even know. That's my problem. I can't just sit and talk straight for 10 to 12 minutes about a specific sport. I just can't do it.
I think you could do it. I think you could.
Maybe I could talk about dance.
Yeah,
I've been dancing my whole life.
You could talk.
That's about it.
You could recap the gym season for LSU. You could probably do a little bit of baseball. I mean, you follow baseball a little bit. I think
I do follow baseball. But like I feel like there's not enough to talk about.
Just load the show with guest.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Speaking of, guys, our entire second hour is a guest. It was not planned out that way. Koki Riley, who is normally on at 1:15, had to move to 2:15. Joe Healy, who is normally on Thursday, texted me last night. He had to hop on today. So literally 2:15, 2:30. We are straight guest in hour number 2. All right, Beck, what else you got for us?
All right, let's see what we got. What if LSU baseball doesn't get out of a regional? Will they move on from Beth Torina?
So many people, there's not a coach on campus right now that I want to succeed more than Beth Torina. People have been calling for Beth Torina's job for years now, and I know why. She's the only one that Scott Woodward hasn't hired. I get it. She was already here when he got there, but guys, the SEC's tough. They're fine. I get that they're in a little bit of a slump, but they're right there in the thick of things. I understand that. Oh, are they the number 1 team in the country? No, but anything can happen once you get into postseason. Now, if they lose the regional, do they move on from her? I don't know, but I just feel like this gets brought up far too often with Beth Torina. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. The SEC, if you want to talk about the SEC dominating a sport, softball might be up there, especially since they got Oklahoma, who has been a perennial powerhouse in softball for the last 10 years. When you have a league like that where you've got I think right now you maybe have 6 or 7 teams in the top 10 or 15 ranking wise. So, there's teams that they're 3 or 4 games under 500 in the conference, but they're still ranked because the SEC is just so good. And obviously, going into the season, you had high expectations, as you do every year for LSU softball. So when you don't exactly, exceed those expectations or maybe meet them, there's going to be questions about it. But Beth Torina has had LSU softball as one of the most consistent programs in the nation, and they haven't gotten over the hump with her, but still, it's what you have. What is out there and what you have. Are you certain that it's going to be better? I don't know. I don't think so. I think she's a really good coach, and I think the SEC is just really good. So I wouldn't fire her. But
no, I agree. And look, would that be underwhelming? Yes. I think this LSU baseball team is talented. Should you be satisfied with losing a regional? Absolutely not. You should want to get to the College World Series in softball and baseball every single year. It's not realistic, but that should be your goal. However, my issue is it doesn't really matter how good Beth Torina is doing. I just feel like any minor slip up, everybody's immediately coming for her. Now, look, would that be disappointing? Yes, obviously it's not where you want to be, but this gets talked about a little too much in my opinion. All right, Beck. I got one here. I want you to figure out what Gunnar Marks' question is, because now I'm curious.
Well,
our guy is he's going after it in the chat. What's the question?
Yeah. So first of all, when the show first started, he said the same message 5 times in a row. So
was it a good message?
No, it wasn't. It was very strange. Didn't really make a lot of sense. But anyway, he asked what would you do if you found him eating a medium pizza with mayonnaise, ketchup, strawberries, pineapples, mustard, beet. It's just obviously this is just an absurd thing.
Yeah, it's a stupid question.
It's a stupid question. It's something that would fit better in the OTB chat.
That's no.
But
T-Bob, Jake, they're not answering that. It's a dumb question.
Even OTB, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's obviously just an absurd thing to put in the chat, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But just to entertain what we would do, I would think you're very weird. If you
I appreciate you asking it. I got tired of seeing why won't you ask my question.
Yeah,
so go ahead and
I
ask it, and
too.
I'll tell you that it's a stupid question.
Yeah.
All right, here's one for us. What if you could permanently ban a food ingredient? I am banning mushrooms, no question about it. Do you guys like mushrooms?
No.
I don't hate them. I will eat them in certain instances. but I'm not just gonna eat them like raw or anything. But if you cook them and stuff, then I'll eat them.
Texture's too much.
I don't think a mushroom. I agree. I don't think a mushroom serves any purpose. Can anybody tell me what a mushroom tastes like?
I don't even know what the flavor is.
No.
Yeah.
And then
do?
it's one of the things that even looks grosser cooked than it does raw, which that should be a red flag right there. You're not supposed to eat mushrooms. Does anybody know what food group a mushroom is in?
Isn't it a fungus?
It is.
Yeah.
It is a fungus. It is not
disgusting.
a vegetable. Look, I'm not a food expert. We can call up Chef Michael Johnson if we want. Here's what I know. When I did the little food pyramid in school, right? You had the junk food up here. That was what they wanted you to eat the least. Then you went fruit, vegetable, dairy, all that, grain, and all that. I didn't see fungus anywhere in there.
No.
I didn't see fungus up there. You're not supposed to eat mushrooms. That's the easy answer. And so many people can say, well, Taylor, why are you bothered by mushrooms? Because I don't like them. Why do you like them? Why does that have to have mushrooms in it? Because the argument I always hear is, well, mushrooms don't have a taste. You can't even taste them. Why'd you put them in there then? They don't add any flavor. Why'd you put them in there?
I think I think they have some redeeming qualities in terms of like their health benefits, but I'm not an expert on it, but I do think they have some positive benefits in terms of health wise. But I could go without them.
Do you know the crap that I drink every single day? Like you're not the health benefits is not swaying this for me.
No, I figured that.
The health benefits is not swaying things for me. All right, I got one for you guys. What if you found out the world was going to end?
What if it was about to end? Is it
like you found out that okay, let's say we're in the movie Armageddon or something. A giant asteroid the size of Texas is barreling towards Earth. It's going to hit in 2 weeks.
Okay. What
do we do?
Man, that's tough. I don't know. I mean, you obviously want to probably try to spend a lot of time with everybody that you your loved ones, if you will. I guess I'd probably try to do that. I would probably quit working because there's really no point in working anymore.
I considered that, but here's the problem. What if it doesn't happen?
Okay, well that's the question though is what if the world's about to end?
The question is what if you found out it was about to end?
You don't know for sure.
You don't know for sure. So let's say you could say, okay, I'm traveling the world. I'm doing all this. I'm emptying my bank account to go to all these great places. Good. Congratulations. The world didn't end in 2 weeks. You got $0 in that bank account. You have no job because you quit it. I think I'm going to go about my day. I think that's just what I'm doing. I know that's the boring answer. I'm a scheduled person. I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do when I leave here. Like I think I'm just going about my day. I gotta make sure my grass looks good if that moment does come, in case it gets captured on any type of TV footage and all that. Like, no, I think I'm just going about my day.
Okay, well look, here's a guy in the chat, half the Spanish Armada. He says mushrooms provide decent protein and nutrients while being low in fat and calories. So there's your reason for eating mushrooms.
Okay, so
and I actually agree with him though. Kale, I think we could get rid of kale. It's purposeless.
Y'all are talking about nutrients and why you should, and low in fat and calories. You shouldn't ban mushrooms. You're gonna ban kale.
Yes,
kale has nutrients. It's low in fat.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's low in calories.
But it's not. I don't think it has as many. It also has literally no taste to it, like none.
Like mushrooms?
No, not mushrooms.
Like mushrooms?
Okay, mushrooms has at least a little bit of
what? What's it taste like?
Disgusting.
If I asked you what a mushroom tastes like, what would your answer be?
It tastes like a mushroom. I don't know how to describe it.
Is it sweet? Is it savory? Is it salty?
It's got a little. I think it's.
No, it depends on what you put on it, Beck.
Well, it does.
A mushroom by itself is nothing.
Okay, I could say that you may not. I don't know. You may make fun of me for this, but it has an earthy taste.
There's a high chance that happens. What
it has an earthy taste to it. Like you can tell it's from the ground.
Man, I gotta tell you, Cassie, you can tell it's from the ground. It's an earthy taste. That just makes me want to eat. It sounds like I'm eating dirt. It sounds like I'm eating soil. No. All of these examples of why I shouldn't ban mushrooms has showed me one thing. I should 100% ban mushrooms. It's only strengthening the point. Mushrooms are awful. They're awful.
All right.
All right. With that, we're gonna close out What If Wednesday. All right. When we get back, we're gonna talk a little bit of LSU football, and then we are interview heavy to say the least in hour number 2. All that coming up. You're on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111, your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number one, a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharper with you, sitting in for our guy, Hunt Palmer. Before we wrap up hour number one, I want to mention a little quick LSU football tidbit. A lot of people have been talking about transfer portal, LSU's lack of aggressiveness here in this spring portal window. My answer, or my response, I should say, has always been, find me someone in the transfer portal right now that could come in and start at LSU. Because if you're not going to grab an immediate starter here in the spring window, then you're probably not going to grab anyone at all. A name entered the other day, though, that I think LSU fans should keep an eye on. It's Wydett Williams from right down the road at ULM. It says last year was his senior year, but guys, I don't know what any classification anybody is anymore. It doesn't really. People are basically just going to play forever. Let's just accept that. Look, 100 tackles a year ago, 5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, 4 pass deflections, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble. The guy was all over the field. 6'2", 200 pounds. If you're looking for somebody at safety who you can bring in, whether it's a depth piece or a guy that can be inserted in, like, this is the right position and it's the right amount of production. I'm okay with this. Everyone's been talking about the LSU safety room. It's deeper than you think because everyone's going to say, okay, you got Tamarcus Cooley, you got Deshaun Spears, Javian Toviano. What do you have after that? You still have Joel Rogers on the roster as we sit here today. And then you got 2 freshmen coming in the fall. CJ Jim Coyley, who was a highly rated 4-star player. Jacob Bradford from Catholic High School. Both of them are coming in. So you do have a little bit more bodies. What you lack is a lot of experience. Toviano's new to the position, at least full-time here at LSU. Deshaun Spears is entering his 2nd year of college. Joel Rogers has played sparingly. CJ Jim Coyley and Jacob Bradford are going to be freshmen. Wydett Williams has played a lot of football. He was productive last year at ULM. Could you bring him in? Could he come in there? I'm not even asking him to be a day 1 starter. Could he be a rotational piece? Could it be somebody that could give you veteran experience in that secondary? You have some veteran experience at corner. At safety, you don't. Tamarcus Cooley is your veteran safety. And a lot of young guys outside of that. That's what you have. I think Wydett Williams, I think there's a chance that maybe LSU looks into this a little bit. Again, 100 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, a sack, 2 interceptions, a couple forced fumbles, fumble recovery. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see if LSU makes that call to add to their DB room. Another position, defensive line. I actually think you're good here. This is a position that gets brought up time and time again when everyone's saying, why isn't LSU more aggressive in the transfer portal? You have this guy, you have this guy. The guy from Syracuse was a popular choice. A lot of people were talking about him. He just committed to Texas yesterday. I think you're good at defensive tackle. First off, your edge rushers might be the strength of your team. You did a great job there in the portal. But your defensive line, you have Jacoby and Guillory coming back. He's been in this program for a number of years. Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley showed a lot of promise last year as freshmen. And then look at the other guys coming in. We still have Shone Washington. He's still on the team. If Zion Williams coming in, Brandon Brown, Walter Mathis, Dylan Battle. You have a lot of bodies coming in. Now, they don't have a ton of experience, but that's okay because Ahmad Bro played a lot of football last year. He is now considered a veteran piece. Jacoby and Guillory has been on this team like 6 years. Dominic McKinley played a good bit last year as a freshman. Now, you have a new D-line coach. Maybe it's one of those things where all the guys you brought in, these big-bodied defensive tackles that Bo Davis wanted, maybe Kyle Williams doesn't want that. Maybe Kyle Williams wants a leaner body. Maybe he does go get somebody from the portal. Ahmad Bro's pretty lean. McKinley's 6'6", 315, but I mean, he's lean. You do have Sydir Mitchell. He's on the bigger side. I mean, Sydir Mitchell's 6'6", 340 pounds. It's a Bo Davis guy who Bo Davis recruited to Texas. He entered the portal, brought him back over right before he left to go to the Saints. But I kind of think you're good at defensive line. Unless there is someone out there that fits what Kyle Williams wants to do to a T that he thinks could come in and be a day 1 starter, I don't see him doing it. And what about offensive line? These are kind of the 3 positions: safety, D-line, O-line. You brought in Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson in the early window. With the emergence of Weston Davis, you may not need anything. Weston Davis was your starting right tackle all spring long. Reports coming out today that he's likely going to be your starter at right tackle. That gives you more flexibility because now you can move Josh Thompson to guard if you need to. If Braylon Moore takes over at center, DJ Chester's probably going to kick out the guard. Tyree Adams, by all account, is going to be your left tackle. He's probably locked down a spot there. You might be good at O-line. You're probably good at defensive line. And outside of Wydett Williams, there's not really anybody in the portal right now that I think could be a huge upgrade for you as far as that safety spot goes. So I know a lot of people are going to say, okay, well, LSU hasn't been aggressive enough, or I don't like where you're at here and here. The reality is, after spring practice came to a close last week, Brian Kelly said, I like where we're at. I feel comfortable bringing this roster into fall. I could see this team not adding or losing anyone in the portal. Those were the words of Brian Kelly. Things obviously change, but there's a chance this roster is complete. All right, we were football heavy there in hour number 1. Coming up in hour number 2, we're going to talk a lot of college baseball. We got Koki Riley coming on, Joe Healy with D1 Baseball, and we're going to kick things off with Matthew Bruni talking transfer portal. That's all coming up here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
This on the road because it's fairly Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, and all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights.
I'm Christine Lisi. Celtics forward Jason Tatum may miss the first playoff game of his NBA career tonight. Doubtful for Game 2 in the first-round series against the Magic with a bone bruise in his right wrist. Even with Tatum hampered, Boston, already up 1-0, can still complete the sweep of Orlando, believes ESPN NBA analyst and New York Knicks analyst Monica McNutt.
And listen, no disrespect to the Orlando Magic. They're a terrific team. They fought their way into the playoffs. But the Celtics are that deep. They still have Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. Like, there's so much depth for this squad, and they've been playing great basketball consistently all season long. I still think the Celtics can get this done if Tatum's not 100%.
Pelicans hired Wizards consultant Troy Weaver as their new GM, reports ESPN's Mark Spears. Avalanche coach Jared Bednar says there's a good chance Captain Gabriel Landeskog plays in Game 3 of the NHL first-round playoff series versus the Stars tonight, 9:30 Eastern, ESPN. He hasn't played in almost 3 years due to a couple of knee surgeries. Series is 1-1. Lions and Chargers will meet in the 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame game July 31st in Canton, Ohio.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. It's draft day, and I'll tell you exactly what teams should do if they want to win in 2025. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. Hunt out all week on vacations. I am in for you today. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair right now. I mentioned we were interview heavy here in hour number 2, to say the least. Let's go out to the phone lines right now. Bring in Matthew Bruni with the Bengal Tiger at On3 Sports. Matthew, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew, want to talk some transfer portal right now? I kind of want to start with football. That's where I went last segment, so it's actually a perfect segue. Look, last week when LSU kind of wrapped up spring, Brian Kelly said he doesn't expect a ton of portal targets in this window unless something changes. You know, he said, I'm good with this roster. I would feel comfortable bringing this roster into the fall. Look, if they were to add in the portal, though, which position would that be?
I think defensive tackle is still a spot they're looking at. I think that's something that even with Don McKinley and Ahmad Bro and the addition of Sadir Mitchell, I think there's question marks of Jacoby and Gillard coming off the injury, a guy like Sean Washington. There's just not a lot of depth there. Even with a couple freshmen coming in that could contribute, I think defensive tackle is still a spot where they can improve at the very least in their depth. That's one spot I look at. And then if you look, I still think safety is something I would like for them to pursue, even with Tamarcus Cooley coming in and having a pretty good spring, even with Jordan Gilbert and Deshaun Spears and Toviano. I think they have some numbers there. But if a name comes along that you can upgrade that room, I wouldn't mind that at all, especially with the versatility of a Cooley and the versatility of some of the players in that room. I think those are the two spots I look at and say I wouldn't mind them going to get some guys.
Is there maybe a specific player they're looking at, or is it just one of those things where it's like, these are our biggest positions of need?
No, it's still very early in the portal window here. Yeah. I don't think they have anyone scheduled to host or anything like that. Shea Dixon on our side has his finger on the pulse consistently throughout it, and a lot of it is feeling out the process. And honestly, the first part of this was retention. This 10-day window after the spring, a lot of it was and is retaining your own players and trying to make sure everybody's happy with their contracts and their situations and so on and so forth, because depth is so important that even though, a backup corner or something like that, or a backup offensive lineman, you wouldn't think it's a big deal for them to leave. Depth is so important to these coaches and to this program. I think they really spent a lot of time and effort on retention first and foremost.
Matthew, switching to the hardwood right now. Matthew Bruni joining us right now. Look, LSU lost some players in the transfer portal. Obviously, you have to replace a Cam Carter, but Matt McMahon's done a really nice job of bringing in some quality guys. You got DJ Thomas, obviously, Michael Nwoko, the center from Mississippi State, Rashad King's coming in as a guard, Max McKinnon's coming in. I mean, what have you made of that transfer portal class for Coach McMahon?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good class. DJ Thomas is the point guard that they've desperately needed in the Matt McMahon era for one reason or another, whether it's injuries, whether it's missed evaluations, whether it's Jalen Cook just kind of quitting on the team.
Yeah.
You know, they've continued to struggle at that position. And DJ Thomas is a bona fide playmaker, a guy who can get feet in the paint, get to the basket, can spray out the shooters. I think he is where you start with all this. And then from there, a guy who, when I watched the tape, kind of surprised me a little bit is Max McKinnon, transfer from Portland, second team all West Coast Conference. And I think with that pairing in terms of a backcourt tandem that can score and can distribute, I think you do have enough playmaking there. Now, I still think there's question marks as a whole. A lot of these guys are moving up significantly. McKinnon, like I said, from Portland, Marquel Sutton from Omaha, Rashad King from Northeastern. So it's fair to question, you're moving up to now the best conference in the country in the SEC. Are you going to be able to carry that over and handle the physicality? But I think from a talent perspective and an experience perspective, I think they have done more than enough so far to put them in position to be competitive.
Speaking of guard play, I'm glad you mentioned that. Two things. Curtis Givens entered the transfer portal earlier. That's kind of a blow for Matt McMahon. That's a guy that he brought in that he was high on, at least going into last year as a freshman. But Howard guard Blake Harper on Monday narrowed his schools down to his final four as far as the transfer portal. And LSU was included in that number. So kind of a two-parter. What do you think about Givens leaving and then Blake Harper? Is that somebody that Matt McMahon could get in?
Yeah, Givens entering the portal is a bit of a surprise. He had even gone out and announced through LSU his return a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Him and Jalen Reed and Robert Miller, those were the guys that were set to return. I think something changed with the NIL aspect of it to where I don't know if both sides are comfortable with and weren't able to reach a deal, for lack of a better term. And so Givens enters the portal the day that it closes there. So it was late. It was a bit of a surprise to me. The coaching staff, I don't think, was blindsided by it. But with how fast things change nowadays, I mean, it's day to day in every sense of the word. So Givens moves on. They'll definitely have to go get another backup point guard. They'll probably go young for that to replace him. And then the second part of the question was Blake Harper. From Howard, the MEAC Player of the Year as a freshman. Obviously, it's not the highest level of competition, but to do that as a true freshman is significant. He's 6'8", shot 40% from three, can play the two, can play the three. I think that would be a huge, huge addition for Matt McMahon and company. They're in competition with Creighton, Ohio State, and Howard in this. So, I think even you could say with the money that's freed up from Curtis Givens, you throw it at a guy like Harper, and you definitely try to go shore up the off-guard position.
Matthew, switching from men's hoops to women's action, Kim Mulkey has lost a lot of players from her squad a year ago to the transfer portal, the latest being Miracle Shepherd. What have you made of maybe Mulkey's current roster? How does she kind of maybe dip into the portal to, rebound from some of those losses?
Yeah, so the first spot is the center position, which they filled with Kate Koval from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Samaya Smith moved on. She committed to Virginia, but Koval is 6'5", physical, was the number 5 player in the country in the 2024 class. So a young player, a lot of upside there. They added Amaya Joyner from East Carolina, who was an all AAC first team player at her school for 3 years. And so you get the front court shored up a bit. I still think they're looking at front court options. They've been linked to Sarah Williams, their first team all Big Ten player from Wisconsin. And then they've also been linked to, in the backcourt, Mylasia Full-Wiley from South Carolina, who was a 12-point per game scorer for them last 2 years. So I think those are kind of that's the group you're looking at. Those are the positions of need. I still think, with Bull Wiley, they would shore up the guard spot a lot. They still have Jada Richard and Kaylin Gilbert returning, but you still obviously want to surround Flau'jae and Michaela with as much talent as possible. So I'd say the front court is still the biggest point of emphasis, but if they can get Bull Wiley somehow, I think they'd be in a really good position in the backcourt.
Matthew, before we get you out of here, look, it's obviously NFL draft week, so a lot of eyeballs are going to be on professional football. But look, we've been talking transfer portal. Things are ever changing in the world of college football. What can we expect from you this week at On 3?
Yeah, so we'll have obviously all the draft coverage that everybody's looking for. Myself, Shay Dixon, Jarrett Roser, Julie Bodwin, all doing draft reactions and draft instant, everything we hear about all that. And then the transfer portal, like I said, LSU's trying to retain all of its players. We'll see if that ends up happening. Shay Dixon has his pulse on all of that 24/7, and then I'll have all the basketball scoops and intel on the men's and women's side, and I think the women are hoping that they get some good news this weekend.
All right, Matthew Bruni joining us. Matthew, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It was Matthew Bruni with the Bengal Tiger over there at On 3 Sports. Guys, I got a Hunt Palmer update. Saw the picture on Facebook. It was posted about 2 hours ago. I was just searching the old Facebook.
Wow, not the white shirt photo, huh?
The picture popped up. No, so it's going to be a you can't really see it here. It's going to be the baby blue.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if the camera can pick it up. So it's the baby blue with the khaki pants. Him and his wife, the two kiddos, are taking a picture. So Hunt right now at least making a little bit of time for his family. On vacation, not at the golf course 24/7.
I appreciate the fact that they didn't go for just the all white.
The white with the khaki.
Usually everybody just goes with the all white shirts. I like the color.
Beck, you're gonna find this hard to believe.
I am.
I have taken a white and khaki beach picture.
Look, I have too. I mean, who hasn't? Okay, who hasn't taken a white t-shirt picture?
Me and my
on the beach?
blonde-headed family all went out on the beach. We took white shirt, khaki pants photos. Also see the baby blue with khaki, which is what Hunt did. That's a good one as well. That smile, though, Hunt, putting it on for the camera. I imagine our guy not too happy with what he saw last night. Also, I got a text from Preston Guy that I want to complain about here real quick. Preston texted me during last break. I'm very disappointed that you wouldn't ban olives over mushrooms. Okay, so here's the thing. 1, I kind of like olives. 2, even if you don't like olives, you have to respect the fact that they at least have a flavor. I can tell you, olives are kind of salty. They're kind of tangy. Mushrooms still do nothing for me. I stand by it. Preston says, yeah, the flavor of olives ruins everything you're eating. Well, I disagree with that. I think olives are pretty good. But even if you don't like them, respect the fact that they have a flavor. Mushrooms, just the most pointless food out there. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we get back, we're talking LSU baseball. We got Koki Riley coming up next here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Whenever I say remodel, you might think, oh, that's a huge project, going to cost a fortune, going to take forever, have to leave my home. Well, that stuff can happen, but that's not really what we're talking about here. To further that point, let's just talk about something simple like a tub to shower conversion. That's not massively expensive. That's not super invasive. That's not super time consuming. It's a simple process that can be done if your bathtub is not used, if it's old and dingy, if it's not functional. You take that bathtub out, put in a glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. David Vaughn and his team can help you with it every step of the way. They handle everything. You don't call him and then call the guy to handle this part, and this guy handles the floor. And one contractor, one call. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation and get that process started today. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online. onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Rouge is home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Hunt Palmer. Going back to the phone lines right now, talking a little LSU baseball with Koki Riley from The Advocate. Koki, how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. How's it going?
It's going well. It's not going good if you're an LSU baseball fan and you're still bitter from last night's game. Look, I get it. It was an hour-and-a-half rain delay. It was one of those games where everything that could have went wrong did. Let me just kind of get your overall thoughts on that run rule loss last night.
Like you said, everything went wrong that could have gone wrong, but it was a really it was an awful performance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Like, it was a really terrible game for them, I should say. Northwestern State played very well, obviously, and really in every aspect of the game, it was just beyond ugly. And a lot of it was self-inflicted from a defensive pitching standpoint, and then at the plate, it was just a lot of bad habits just coming back to the forefront. And I'd say that's a pretty good summary of what happened. But I think you can't take a ton away from the defense and pitching perspective when it comes to this weekend, if we want to project this game into next weekend, this weekend. But from a hitting perspective, it's hard not to take something away from what just happened, right? I mean, this is the bottom half of Northwestern State's pitching staff. Granted, Northwestern State isn't a terrible team. I think they're top 100 in the RPI.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this was the back half of their bullpen, and you couldn't do anything against them, basically. 3 solo home runs, and that was it. So, it was just really, really, really ugly, and easily their worst game of the year.
Koki, want to continue with the defense here. I agree with you about the batting, but, we saw Jared Jones at third base last night. That was kind of the talk of the game. I think that experiment will end. But as far as, why Jay did that? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I would never have considered him a realistic option even without Braswell and Reeves. Like, what were your thoughts on Jared Jones at third?
Well, they've done it a few times during like conference games to try to get back into the game when they're trailing. I think they even did it on not Sunday. Yeah, was it Sunday? No, it was Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday,
game 2.
Because, they did the game 2, game 3. It was game 3. And yeah, like they've been able to get away with it in like these short spurts where he's only out there for an inning or two, just so they can maximize their bats and get Jake Brown, Ethan Fry, and Josh Pearson in the game at the same time. Like that's the idea of it, They can move Brown to first base, and Brown has played there a little bit. He played there a little bit in the fall. I don't remember if it was this year. I don't think it was this year. It was more of like I saw him play there a little bit when he was during his freshman year before the season started. So that's kind of what the idea was. But I didn't expect them to do it for like a full game. And I guess if you were going to do it for a full game, it was going to be in a midweek game. But it just backfired against them in the worst possible way, right? He makes 2 errors. Probably should have even been credited for 3. Jake Brown even made a mistake, but they got an out of the play, so he didn't get credited for an error. And that resulted, and that basically cost them 3, 4, maybe even more runs. So it was just that. When I say the defense isn't something that was like super alarming moving forward, it's because they're probably not going to use that alignment much moving forward. And you got Jared Jones at first base. You put Michael Braswell there at third. You should be okay moving forward. And the third base has been kind of a bugaboo for them defensively when Michael Braswell hasn't been there. But Braswell, not a natural third baseman. He's been a shortstop for most of his career, but he was pretty good offensively. So, and given the way that he's hitting the ball a little bit better lately, I think it just makes sense to just have him stay at third for the time being. And if you want to put in Tanner Reeves as a pinch hitting option, then go ahead. Because I think Braswell has kind of more or less won that job now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like Braswell's actually been a pretty good hitter. Look, normally William Schmidt, we see him get the start in the midweeks. At least we have the last few weeks. It was Jaden Newt last night. We actually did not see Schmidt at all. What do you think that means for his role this coming weekend?
I could see them using him this weekend, but he's really struggled in conference play, as we've seen. So maybe they don't use him at all. Maybe this is just a hard reset for him. I don't think there's an injury, or else he would be, or else we probably would have known about it by now. And he didn't look hurt at all during that last outing. So I don't know. For him, it's just a lot of it's just like trying to find the happy medium between throwing the ball over the plate and not throwing it too much over the plate. You know what I mean? I know that sounds like an oxy, but I know those two things sound very counterintuitive, but
what you're saying is hit your spots, but don't walk batters. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the fastball, right? Because his fastball isn't this like it isn't a pitch that doesn't have a ton of ride to it, doesn't have a ton of run to it. So there's not a lot of movement to that pitch. So even if it is going 95, 96, hitters in the SEC are too good to just not hit that ball, right? Especially if it's like right over the heart of the plate. And he's got to be able to locate that pitch to get ahead in the count and then set up his breaking ball, which is his best pitch, right? So that's kind of the keys for him. And he did that against Nicholls State a little bit. Granted, that's a much, much worse opponent. But you've seen it in flashes at points, but you just haven't seen it consistently at all. And I don't know. I don't think they're going to use him in a major role this weekend. I would be pretty surprised if they did, except unless they see some sort of matchup thing with Tennessee in particular. But Tennessee's had, like, when they've pitched well against Tennessee, it's been mostly because of the lefties. Like, Nate Ackenhausen had Tennessee's number for 2 years. And I'm kind of curious to see whether, Connor Ware or Kate Anderson can sort of, pitch well this weekend to take advantage of that more. Cooper Williams would be an option too, but again, he didn't look good at all last night. So, there's just a lot of up and downs with the younger pitchers. And even with some of the veteran guys, it's like some of these guys just have control issues, like a guy like Connor Bench. So I think last night was kind of like the nadir, like the bottom of what that unit can look like, and we kind of saw that against Texas as well. But when they'd gone well, like they have in the Auburn series, you're like, oh, they've got a really deep unit, And I think in years past, like the last couple of years, it's been more of we see a lot more downs than we've seen ups, and I think this year has been just more ups and downs. It's been a little bit of everything so far.
Koki, I want to stick with pitching here. Koki Riley joining us right now. We saw it on Saturday in that Game 3 game against Alabama. It was no longer Chase Shores in that starting role. They went with Connor Ware. He goes 2 innings. What do you think they do as far as that Day 3 starter moving forward?
I think it's still probably going to be Chase Shores.
Okay.
I think the matchups really affected that Alabama start. Alabama started 5 lefties. 2 or 3 of them were some of their better hitters. Bryce Fowler's the leadoff guy. He's a lefty. Will Hodo's a lefty. Kate Snell's a lefty. I think you really have to keep that in mind. And I think they thought that Connor Ware would have given them a better chance to get off to a better start. And actually, that theory ended up proving correct because he threw 2 shutout innings, right? So once through the order through 2 shutout innings. And he has some control issues too, but he was able to, I don't want to say get away with it because I thought he had better command in that game. So I think that, and then when they put Shores into the game, you kind of saw what happened, right? So I think that's what that was kind of more of a matchup thing more than anything else. Really curious to see what they do this weekend, though. Maybe they feel maybe the way that Tennessee aligns their lineup again. Maybe they'll go back to what they did this past week. But I think like the default third starter is still Chase Shores. We've seen him go 4 or 5 innings before to help out the rest of that bullpen. I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen again this week. Going to happen this weekend because Tennessee's got a really powerful lineup. But Tennessee struggled hitting the ball last couple of weeks, so we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's just I think like these two teams have the profiles of the big bats, home runs, more so with the home runs of Tennessee, but offensive minded programs, I guess. But I think this is going to be kind of a low scoring series because both these teams have really excelled on the mound, especially Tennessee with the strikeout rates and all that sort of stuff. These two teams are pretty much 1 and 2, like 2 and 3, 2 top 3 teams in ERA in the conference. So I feel like it's probably going to be a pretty low scoring series. The only thing that's really benefiting the offense is probably going to be the weather, right? The warmer weather, smaller ballpark, and I think we're definitely going to see some fair share of home runs. But overall, it's going to be kind of advantage pitching. At least from a talent perspective. So I'm really curious to see how that all sort of shakes out.
Koki, before we get you out of here, obviously LSU and Tennessee, the big game of the weekend. What's something you're keeping an eye on? Like, what do you think the key for the Tigers this weekend is?
I'll give you something for both sides of the ball. So I think offensively, it's going to be getting the leadoff man on base. And Tennessee, especially their number 2 starter, Marcus Phillips, has had a lot of trouble keeping guys off of second base, holding runners, not giving up steals. 2 weeks ago, for example, you have 7 steals and 3 1/3 innings. I want to say 39% of the stolen base attempts against Tennessee have come against him. So if you get the leadoff man on, there's a pretty good shot you're going to turn into a single into a double or a walk into a double, right? And that could be absolutely huge in this series, especially in that middle game. So I think getting the leadoff man on, creating some pressure on the base pass, and I'm just really, really curious to see how that's all sort of works out offensively. And then on the pitching side, keep the ball in the ballpark. Tennessee is one of the best home run hitting teams in the country, if not the best. And part of that's because they're smaller park, but it's not like the Alex Box Stadium is really that much bigger than what they've got in Knoxville. So I feel like you really got to keep the ball on the ground, use your strikeout ability to your advantage. These are probably the 2 best strikeout teams in the nation. These 2 and then Wake Forest would be the third. And so I think there's a chance there's going to be a lot of strikeouts this weekend just because of the stuff that you're going to be seeing on the mound. So Kate Anderson in game one especially, like, he's got to keep the ball in the ballpark. He's got to find a way to do it. And because that has been his only weakness so far this season, because he doesn't walk anybody. He mostly hits his spots. A lot of swing and miss, obviously, tons of strikeouts. Because if you look at his lines, he'll only get 4 or 5 hits, but sometimes 3 or 4 of those are home runs. And that's been kind of his bugaboo. That's been his issue so far this season. Because other than that, he's been absolutely fantastic. And when you're going up against maybe the best home run hitting team in the country this weekend, that's really going to be something. Like, if LSU wants to win that game, he has to limit the home run, the long ball, because LSU's going to have their hands full against arguably the best pitcher in the nation, Liam Doyle.
Kogi Riley with The Advocate. Kogi, thanks for hopping on with us today.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely. LSU versus Tennessee coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday series in Alex Box. Certainly the biggest series of the year so far for your LSU Tigers. All right, when we come back, the baseball talk will continue. Joe Healy of D1 Baseball hopping on next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury. When that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp filling in for Hunt Palmer. Coming up in just a second, we're going to go out to the phone lines to Joe Healy of D1 Baseball. He'll be coming up, big time series between LSU and Tennessee. Want to get Joe's thoughts on that. D1 Baseball dropped a poll on Monday. I'll ask him how that changes with LSU, where he has them ranked. We'll talk Texas A&M. As are the Aggies good? Like, they started 1-9 in SEC play. Now they're 8-10 overall. What does that look like for them? Because yes, they swept South Carolina last weekend, but they needed two miracles to make that happen. We'll do all of that with Joe Healy of D1 Baseball, who we welcome in right now. Joe, how are you this afternoon?
Doing pretty well. Can't complain. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you had to pivot a little bit this week. That is perfectly fine. Hunt Palmer out, so we're kind of all pivoting. Joe, the latest D1 baseball poll that you guys put out has the Texas Longhorns number one, and rightfully so. What makes that team so dangerous?
The fact that they've just overcome everything thrown at them. It hasn't really necessarily been an easy walk in the park for Texas this season. They've dealt with some injuries on the position player side of it. They lost arguably their best player to injury for the season. Jared Spencer, their Friday starter, just went down and had a short start last weekend. And yet they just kind of keep barreling through. And it's not just that they're getting production from the guys we expected. They're also now starting to get into their bench a little bit and find some other guys who have been effective. They've tried some different pitchers in some high leverage roles that have succeeded. They've brought some position players off the bench. Most recently, a guy named Jonah Williams, who's a safety on their football team, who was with the baseball team but hadn't played much. They insert him in the lineup and he starts off hot. So they're just pushing a lot of the right buttons right now. And I think it's a coaching staff that obviously knows how to win. We know the track record there. I'm still not sure that they would be the team out of the SEC I'd pick to win the national title, but we have to respect the fact that they're playing really well right now.
Look, we're here in SEC country, and obviously LSU and, the rest of the SEC. There's a lot of SEC teams ranked pretty highly, but for those who, don't see a lot of baseball in this area outside of SEC country, like, you guys have Clemson at number 2. What can you tell us about their squad?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the same kind of deal as Texas insofar as you look at their roster, and they have some star power. Aiden Kanak, the Friday starter, is about as good as anybody, and they have a center fielder named Cam Canarella, who's probably the best defensive player in the country. He's just kind of a wizard out there in center field. But then the rest of it is kind of made up of some grad transfers from smaller schools and some program players who have just kind of developed at Clemson and have now become really, really good players for them. It's not necessarily the flashiest thing, and yet they continue to get it done. They have questions. The rotation behind Kanak is a huge question, but they answer that with the fact that they have a really deep bullpen. They don't have a ton of pop offensively, but they answer that by having a really deep lineup 1 through 9, where sure, they're not going to home run you to death probably, but they do have 9 guys that can really beat you from week to week. And they're going to be playing at home in June, and they are about as good as it gets in college baseball at home. So that's going to be a real advantage for them.
Joe, I want to shift to the Texas A&M Aggies right now. Look, they were preseason number 1 in essentially every baseball poll you could find coming into the year. Then they started awful. I mean, 1-9 in SEC play, but they picked it up lately. They're now 8-10 in the conference. Where do you, like, a lot of people are trying to figure out, are the Aggies really good? Are they really bad? Are they somewhere in between? Like, where do you see Texas A&M right now?
Yeah, I think they're probably, the answer is somewhere in between, but I think they're closer to the good side than the bad side. A few things have changed, and I don't think we'll ever know exactly what happened here that got off to a terrible start and then got hot. I don't know that we'll ever have the exact right answer, but there's a bunch of things that have happened. One is they've gotten healthier. Caden Sorrell is back in the lineup. It turns out that he appears to really be a catalyst in that lineup that I was apparently underestimating, because I was looking at it and saying, well, okay, you're going to get him back, but how much is that going to matter? Well, the answer is it matters quite a bit. The other thing is that they've not been afraid to have some guys who were expected to be in big roles and have them on the bench in favor of some younger players. They have a lot of talented younger players that, because they return so much, we kind of thought, well, they're not going to get a chance to do much this year. But they've ended up having to turn to them, and some of those guys have been really big parts of it. One of them is Terrence Keel II, a speedster outfielder who was kind of like, hey, next year he's probably going to have a shot to be pretty special, but he's probably not going to see much time this year. Well, instead, he's arguably been the most important offensive piece outside of Jace Laviolette for Texas A&M so far this season. So they've had a lot of little things improve over the last 3 weeks. Obviously, in the SEC, you'll have to kind of stay consistent because every week is difficult, and they certainly do have a tough finish. So wouldn't be shocked if they cool off a little bit down the stretch, just because you really can't typically stay this piping hot for that long in the SEC, but you have to give them a lot of credit for getting back on the horse after they looked dead in the water after 3 weeks of league play.
Joe, I want to shift our focus to the purple and gold down here in Baton Rouge. Look, LSU, they're 2-4 in their last SEC games. They started really hot, but last night they get run ruled. Now, look, I'm kind of one that's not looking too much into it. There was an hour-and-a-half rain delay in the middle of that game. LSU hits 3 home runs. Unfortunately, they were all solo shots. I mean, they tinkered with stuff on the defensive side as well. But where would you rank LSU right now among SEC teams?
I think they're still kind of in that top group. So I'm looking at it now just to make sure I don't miss anybody. But I'd put them, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, and then if you want to throw with the way they're playing, you want to throw Vanderbilt in there. I think Vanderbilt has maybe moved ahead of Georgia for me in terms of who I trust right now. So I think they're still in that group. The difference is with this LSU team, I think one of the differences is versus some LSU teams in the past that were able to kind of just more dominate teams is that they just don't have the physicality they've had in the lineup. And that's not just an LSU thing. Home runs in the SEC are down. I've talked to Hunt about that over the last few weeks. And so there are fewer and fewer lineups that are just going to go out there and pummel opposing pitching with a bunch of home runs. And this LSU team was already going to be dealing with some turnover in the lineup and trying to figure out who they are. And you combine that with the fact that Jared Jones has been not quite himself in SEC play. All that combined creates a situation where LSU has dropped some games that, you wouldn't have expected them to get swept against Auburn, right? Like maybe Auburn wins that series fine, but you wouldn't expect them to get swept. But for LSU fans there, it's important to understand the big picture. This is still a team that's tied for third place in the SEC standings. It's still 34-8. It's still tracking to play baseball at home in June. All of the big picture stuff is still in front of them, even if maybe there have been, a speed bump here or there that wasn't necessarily anticipated.
Joe Healy, our guest right now. Joe, before we get you out of here, LSU and Tennessee, one of the biggest series of the weekend. LSU's biggest series so far this season. Both teams, kind of similar performances lately in SEC play. What are your kind of thoughts on the series?
Yeah, I think what I'm most interested in is Tennessee has been a different team when Liam Doyle's on the mound versus the rest of the weekend. When they're on the mound, they look like the Tennessee juggernaut that won the national title last year. That was like just the most confident, cocky team in SEC baseball. Like they have juice when Liam Doyle's on the mound. When he's not on the mound, they're a completely different team, and that's what you saw last weekend against Kentucky. With Liam Doyle on the mound, Kentucky had no answers. The next couple of days, Kentucky runs all over on them. Now, that's one thing LSU's going to have to do is take advantage of the fact that Tennessee can't hold runners. But Kentucky ran all over them and just basically got to a point where Tennessee just looked like a beaten team by the end of the weekend. So Tennessee's got to find a way to bring that same juice on Saturday and Sundays they do in their Friday games with Doyle on the mound. If they don't do that, LSU's going to win this series. And if LSU can put up a battle with Kate Anderson on the mound. I think it's going to be a great pitching battle. If they can go toe-to-toe there, they've got a chance to sweep this thing, being that it's at home. Not going to be easy, obviously, but if Tennessee doesn't play better on Saturday and Sunday than they have, that's going to be on the table for LSU.
Joe Healy of D1 Baseball. Joe, thanks for hopping on with us today.
Appreciate it.
All right, look, we were baseball heavy here in hour number 2, and rightfully so. Look, I get it. It's NFL draft week, and look, I'm never one to shy away from football talk. We had a lot of football conversation in hour number 1, but LSU, Tennessee, big series coming up this weekend. Look, we got one more segment left here on this Wednesday, and we're going to close it out like we do every day with some take it or leave it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, and all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Celebrate the NFL draft in style with the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party live from Don Juan's Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Join us tomorrow, April 24th at 7 p.m. and hang with the ESPN Baton Rouge team while indulging in the finest cigars paired with signature cocktails. It's the 104.5 ESPN Draft Party, all happening at Don Juan's Cigar Bar and live on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Also, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is your home for the 2025 NFL Draft. The team at ESPN Radio has you covered live from Green Bay, starting with round 1 tomorrow at 6 p.m. The draft continues Friday, April 25th at 6 p.m. with rounds 2 and 3, and then wraps up Saturday, April 26th at 11 a.m. with rounds 4 through 7. The 2025 NFL Draft live from Green Bay and exclusively on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Final segment, Wednesday edition of the Hun Palmer Show. And right now we're closing it out like we do every day with some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Alrighty, first one here. The NFL playoffs are better than the NBA playoffs. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
I'll take
you
it.
and I were talking about this during break a little bit earlier. I've been watching a lot of the NHL playoffs. First off, they get primetime, ESPN and ESPN2. The NBA, they're on TNT, but they're also on True TV. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. The games are competitive. They're obviously fast-paced. Yeah, I'm taking that.
Yeah, I'll take it too, man. The NBA, obviously the games are more competitive now in the playoffs. Somewhat. We've had some blowouts. The scores are a little bit lower, as you tend to expect. But so far, man, the NBA playoffs has not really excited me too much. It's pretty much going as maybe you would expect. So hopefully maybe a little bit more interesting when we get into the conference semifinals here. But next one, reports are that it's not a foregone conclusion that Anthony Richardson will be the starter for the Indianapolis Colts going into this season. Apparently he's in a battle with Daniel Jones, the saddest QB battle in the league. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm taking this one.
I'll take it.
I mean, just imagine if you're a Colts fan, right? You're dealing with stuff in your personal life. You got to go to work. Things are stressful. And to look forward in the offseason, you're like, we have the 14th pick. We probably can't do anything astronomical unless we trade up. But don't worry. All offseason long, we get to hear about the quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones.
Wait, you think this is better than the Patriots?
No, I said this is the worst quarterback battle.
I know. I'm saying you think that one is worse than the Patriots quarterback battle.
The Patriots have Drake May.
Okay, but still, I don't. I wonder though. He's probably the starter, but I don't know. I think in terms of the quarterback room, I would say that
I'm not worried about the room. I'm talking about the starter in this room. No, this is by far the worst. I mean, even with Russ and Jameis, you can hate that one. That's fine. I mean, Cleveland, we'll see what they add. I mean, they have Pickett right now. The only thing I can think of, but they also have Joe Flacco. I mean, he's a solid vet. The only thing I can think of is if Pittsburgh doesn't get the quarterback they want in the first round.
That's going to be.
If somebody battles with Mason Rudolph, but by all accounts, they're going to. No, Colts easily.
All right, last one here. BYU legend Jimmer Fredette has officially announced his retirement from professional basketball. Jimmer is a top 10 bust in the last 20 years. Take it or leave it.
Top 10?
He was the 10th. He was the 10th overall pick, so he wasn't. It wasn't like he was top 5.
I'll leave it. I'll leave it just because
Leave it alone.
I didn't have super high expectations for Jimmer at the next level. When I look at some of the other ones, like Anthony Bennett was first overall in 2013.
That was
Anthony Bennett
worst.
averaged 4.4 points per game in his NBA career. If you go back a little further than 25 years. Or you said 20 or 25?
20.
You go a little bit further, like Darko Milicic in 03, the guys that were drafted behind him, Bosh, Wade, Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, that's like, definitely an
Darko's
all-timer.
up there. Unfortunately, Greg Oden in 07, number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, that one's hard because of the injuries. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
couldn't
if
stay
you can really
healthy.
blame
I mean,
it on him,
but there's a few, like Dragan Bender is one that comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
4th overall in 2016. Like, people were comparing Dragan Bender to like Kristaps Porzingis. They're like, this guy
What about,
is the next Kristaps. He averaged 5.5 points per game. And
Mo Bamba was one that came to
180
mind. He was
Mo
a
Bamba's
6th
a guy
pick.
that's up there. James Wiseman really hadn't been that great. I mean, he was the 2nd overall pick in 2020 for Golden State. I mean, he's averaging 9 points, 5 rebounds. Like, he's okay. I mean, he's good enough to like be on a roster. I don't know if he's 2nd overall in the draft good, but There's a few, so I'll leave it. I think
Yeah,
there's
I would
worse
too.
out there than Jimmer.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the right term there to figure out to make it interesting.
I get it.
But that one's. But look, Jimmer, he's gone on to he wasn't great in the NBA, but he's gone on to still continue to play a lot overseas.
Yeah,
he
played 6 years in the NBA.
He played in the 3-on-3 for the Olympics. Fortunately, got hurt there, but still he's had a longer career than maybe someone would expected, just professionally wise. But that's take it or leave it.
Guess who was drafted right behind Jimmer Fredette?
Oh gosh, what year was that?
That was 2011.
2011.
Kimball was right in front of him. Guess who was drafted behind him?
2011.
11th overall.
I don't know. Actually,
Klay Thompson.
Oh yeah.
15th overall. Kawhi Leonard.
That's pretty
Somebody
good.
messed up there with Milwaukee. If you remember, they immediately traded him to the Sacramento Kings. All right, look, that's going to do it for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We are NFL draft heavy tomorrow as that thing gets kicked off 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We got it all for you here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis.